Hey there, fellow aquatic enthusiasts. I'm Shafiq, and today we're diving into the wonderful world of axolotl ponds, the DIY way. You know, when I first heard about keeping axolotls in outdoor ponds, I thought it was just another internet fad, like planking or eating Tide Pods. But let me tell you, after researching and setting up my own axolotl pond, I'm here to spill all the secrets on how you can create a little slice of amphibian paradise right in your backyard. Now, before we jump in, let's address the elephant-sized axolotl in the room. Why would anyone want to keep these adorable water puppies outside? Well, my friends, outdoor ponds offer axolotls a more natural environment with plenty of space to swim, hide, and do whatever it is axolotls do when we're not watching. Probably plotting world domination, if you ask me. Plus, it's a great way to add some unique flair to your garden. Because let's face it, your neighbors probably don't have a pond full of smiling salamanders. Alright, let's get down to business. The first thing you need to consider when setting up an axolotl pond is location, location, location. You'll want to find a spot in your yard that gets some shade during the day, as axolotls aren't big fans of direct sunlight. They're basically the vampires of the amphibian world, minus the sparkles. Once you've found the perfect spot, it's time to start digging. And no, you can't just use a kiddie pool and call it a day. Trust me, I tried. You'll want to dig a hole about 3 feet deep and as wide as you'd like your pond to be. Just remember, the bigger the pond, the more axolotls you can fit, and the more excuses you have to avoid mowing the lawn. Now, here's where things get a bit technical. You'll need to line your pond to prevent water from seeping into the ground, because we're trying to create a home for axolotls, not a giant mud puddle. I recommend using a heavy-duty pond liner. It's like a giant waterproof blanket for your hole in the ground. Once you've got your liner in place, it's time to add some substrate. And no, I don't mean tossing in your old carpet, although that would be an interesting conversation starter. Axolotls love fine sand or small, smooth pebbles. Think of it as their very own underwater Zen garden. Now, let's talk about one of the most crucial elements of your axolotl pond: filtration. I know, it's not the most exciting topic, but trust me, it's important. You'll need a good quality pond filter to keep the water clean and clear, because nobody wants to swim in their own waste. Not even axolotls. They may be weird, but they're not that weird. I recommend getting a filter that can handle at least twice the volume of your pond. Better safe than sorry, right? And speaking of water, let's chat about temperature. Axolotls are like Goldilocks. They like their water not too hot, not too cold, but just right. Ideally, you want to keep the water temperature between 60 to 64 degrees, 15 to 18 degrees. Any hotter, and your axolotls might start to feel like they're in a salamander sauna. To maintain the right temperature, you might need to invest in a pond cooler or heater depending on your climate. Because let's face it, not all of us live in axolotl paradise. Now, let's add some pizzazz to your pond with plants. And no, I don't mean tossing in a few plastic ones from your old fish tank, although that would be hilarious. Aquatic plants like water lilies, hornwort, and anacaris are great for axolotl ponds. They provide oxygen, shade, and hiding spots for your smiley friends. Plus, they make your pond look like a miniature Amazonian paradise, minus the piranhas, thankfully. Alright, we're almost there. But before we add our axolotls, we need to talk about safety. I know I sound like your mom, but hear me out. You'll want to add a pond net or cover to protect your axolotls from predators like birds, cats, or that one neighbor who always seems to be just passing by. We're on to you, Karen. Also, make sure there are no sharp edges or objects in the pond that could hurt your axolotls. They may be able to regenerate limbs, but let's not test that ability, shall we? Now the moment we've all been waiting for. Add in the axolotls. But hold your horses, or should I say hold your salamanders. We need to acclimate them first. Slowly introduce your axolotls to their new home by floating them in a bag of their own water for about 30 minutes. It's like a spa day for salamanders. Once they're acclimated, gently release them into their new aquatic paradise and watch as they explore their new digs with those adorable, perpetually smiling faces. Feeding time is always exciting in an axolotl pond. Those little guys have quite the appetite, and terrible table manners, I might add. You can feed them a variety of foods like earthworms, bloodworms, and even specially formulated axolotl pellets. Just don't expect them to use a knife and fork. Remember to remove any uneaten food after about 15 minutes to keep the water clean, because nobody likes a messy roommate, not even axolotls. Now, let's talk about maintenance, because like any good relationship, your axolotl pond needs some TLC to keep things running smoothly. Regular water changes are a must. Aim for about 20% every week to keep those nitrates in check, because nobody likes swimming in their own filth, not even these weird little salamanders. You'll also want to keep an eye on your filter and clean it regularly. Think of it as giving your pond a spa day, minus the cucumber slices and face masks. And don't forget to check your water parameters regularly. pH, ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates are all important factors in keeping your axolotls happy and healthy. As the seasons change, you might need to make some adjustments to your pond, like adding a heater in winter or extra shade in summer, because axolotls are basically the Goldilocks of the amphibian world. One thing to keep in mind is that axolotls are escape artists. They might try to climb out of the pond if given a chance, probably to pursue their dreams of becoming land salamanders. To prevent any great escapes, make sure the edges of your pond are smooth and slightly raised. Think of it as building a tiny fortress for your aquatic friends. Now, let's talk about some fun additions you can make to your axolotl pond. Because who says amphibians can't have a little luxury? Consider adding some underwater caves or tunnels for your axolotls to explore. It's like creating a miniature underwater theme park, minus the overpriced souvenirs. You could even add a small waterfall or fountain. Not only does it look cool, but it also helps oxygenate the water and gives your axolotl something to gossip about. And if you're feeling really fancy, why not add some underwater lighting? It's like creating a disco for salamanders. Just don't expect them to do the electric slide. One thing to remember is that axolotls are social creatures. They enjoy having company, even if they're not great conversationalists. Consider keeping a small group of axolotls together. Just make sure you have enough space and resources to support them all, because nobody likes an overcrowded pond party. As your axolotls grow and thrive in their new home, you might notice some interesting behaviors, like their unique way of walking along the bottom of the pond. And let's not forget about their incredible ability to regenerate lost limbs. It's like having your very own group of tiny X-Men, minus the cool costumes and superpowers. Well, except for the regeneration thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shafiq, this all sounds great, but what about winter? Won't my axolotls turn into axolotl cycles? Fear not, my frosty friends. Axolotls can actually survive in pretty cold water. They just slow down their metabolism and become less active. Kind of like me during winter, to be honest. However, if you live in an area with harsh winters, you might need to take some extra precautions, like using a pond de-icer to keep a hole open in the ice for gas exchange. And there you have it, folks. Everything you need to know about creating your very own backyard axolotl paradise. Remember, setting up an axolotl pond is a commitment, but it's also an incredibly rewarding experience that will bring a unique touch of aquatic wonder to your backyard. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your shovel, roll up your sleeves, and get ready to become the proud parent of some seriously cool salamanders. And hey, if anyone gives you weird looks for having a pond full of smiling amphibians, just tell them you're cultivating a rare species of underwater puppies. That'll keep them guessing. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of axolotl ponds. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more aquatic adventures. Until next time, keep your water clean, your axolotls happy, and your sense of humor afloat. Catch you on the flip side, pond pals.